Welp, y'all, we are back. We're on day 33 of the story. Sonny D, are you watching, buddy? Hey, this is getting good. We are in this story with David, with Goliath, with King Saul. Don't you know that Samuel has got David? Boy, he's got his back. Anointed the man and everything. This was good. So, we saw all about how he had been, David that is, had been delivered from the paw of the lion and the bear, and he's telling King Saul, let me loose on this uncircumcised, filthy Philistine. I will tear him to pieces. But the Lord will deliver me from him just like he did from the lion and the bear. So here we go. And Saul said to David, go, and the Lord be with you. Then Saul dressed David in his own tunic. That's a fancy old name for kind of clothing for battle. But he put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. Now, he ain't ready for all that. David fastened on his sword over the tunic and tried walking around because he was not used to them. He said, I cannot go in these, he said to Saul, because I am not used to them. So he took them off. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, he approached the Philistine. He's coming after that old Philistine, that nasty uncircumcised giant. Meanwhile, the Philistine, with his shield bearer in front of him, kept coming closer to David. He looked David over and saw that he was little more than a boy, glowing with health and handsome, and he despised him. He said to David, am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? It'd be funny if he did fetch, though. But no, that ain't going to happen. And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. Come here, he said, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals. That was little g gods for the Philistine. Ain't gonna do no good. David said to the Philistine, you come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord, capital L, Almighty. Yeah, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. Way to go, David. Way to really put it out there like that. Just let him have it. Don't hold back. Yeah. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army, all them carcasses, to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God, big G, in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by the sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. He ain't going to take credit for it, even though he's dropping the big dude. As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. God triumphed over the Philistine, and David was allowing God to work through him. That's pretty awesome. Without a sword in his hand, he struck down the Philistine and killed him. David ran and stood over him. He took hold of the Philistine's sword and drew it from the sheath. Now just remember, that's a big old sword, dude. Pulled it out of the sheath. After he killed him, he cut off his head with the sword. It was probably so heavy, as soon as he picked it up, it just dropped it. Whack! Guillotine. But when the Philistines saw that their hero, or Philistines saw that their hero was dead, well, they turned and ran. Now, they knew that they said you were going to be their servants if this happened. But here they are running. Didn't hold up your end of the bargain, did y'all? Then the men of Israel and Judah surged forward with a shout and pursued the Philistines to the entrance of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. Their dead were strewn along the Shariam road to Gath and Ekron. When the Israelites returned from chasing the Philistines, they plundered their camp. David took the Philistine's head and brought it to Jerusalem. He put the Philistine's weapon in his own tent. Saul was impressed with David's victory over Goliath. During their post-battle interview, Saul asked David about his family and then drafted David into service at the king's court. David and Saul's son Jonathan had an instant rapport. The two young men formed a friendship of love and loyalty as strong as any brothers, for David's popularity did not play well in the final days of Saul's reign. Yes, that is true. As soon as David returned from killing the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul, with David still holding the Philistine's head. "Whose son are you, young man?" Saul asked him. David said, "I am the son of your servant Jesse of Bethlehem." Bethlehem. After David had finished talking to Saul, Jonathan became one in the spirit with David. And he loved him as himself. For that day Saul kept David with him, from that day Saul kept David with him and did not let him return home to his family. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. Whatever mission Saul sent him on, David was so successful that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. This pleased all the troops and Saul's officers as well. When the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistine, the women came out from all the towns of Israel to meet King Saul with singing and dancing and joyful songs, and with timbrels and lyres, and they danced, they sang. And here's a little song. It said, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands." I don't know if that's the tune, but that's the song it was. Saul was very angry. This refrain displeased him greatly because they made it sound like David did a lot more than him. I don't like that. He thought, it displeased him greatly. "They have credited David with tens of thousands," he thought, "but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom?" And from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. "I got my eye on you." And little green guy from Monsters, Inc. Probably not a good thing. Scary. Ooh, scary. Don't watch Monsters, Inc. But I have seen it, and there's Mike Wachowski, I think, is the guy her eye is on. But don't worry about that. Not relevant to this story. Rabbit trail, didn't need to go there. Just know that Saul had his eye on David. That's the important part. The next day, an evil spirit from God came forcefully on Saul. He was prophesying in his house, while David was playing the lyre, as he usually did. I thought he had a harp. It's a lyre. I don't really know the difference, but that's okay. Saul had a spear in his hand, and he hurled it, saying to himself, I'm look. I gotta go back and look at it. That evil spirit, yep, of God or from God that came on Saul at saying, and then Saul tried to kill David. So that's, but I don't know. It's just a thing. But he hurled that spear at David, right? So he said to himself, I'll pin David to the wall. But David eluded him twice. Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with David, but had departed from Saul. So he sent David away from him and gave him command over 1,000 men. David led the troops in their campaigns. In everything he did, he had great success because the Lord was with him. When Saul saw how successful he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David because he led them in their campaigns. Saul was struggling to make sense of the mess he was in and becoming more paranoid and unstable as the days progressed. Many of Saul's subjects, as well as members of his own family, including Jonathan and Saul's daughter, Michal, that's not Michelle. Michal. Come on, people. Michal. We're going to go with Michal, but I don't think that's right. Seemed to prefer the young shepherd warrior over the unreasonable king. I'm just looking at how they wrote it, and it's a struggle. I always struggle with Michael and Michelle too, just so you know. And I had cousins named Michael and Michelle. So if y'all are watching this, I struggled to spell your names every time. I'm sorry. Love y'all, but I still struggled with them names. They were just, I was like, it's like where and were. I struggle with them because I hear the H in both. Never mind. Another rabbit trail. Yeah, they seem to prefer that this is both Jonathan and his daughter there seem to prefer the young shepherd warrior over the unreasonable king. Consumed by anger and jealousy, and on numerous occasions, Saul tried to kill David, whom he perceived as his greatest internal threat. Finally, David, in fear for his life, fled from Saul, but Saul was driven to hunt down David. He even ordered the slaughter of 85 priests who had given David shelter. Shame on you, Saul. That's not friendly at all. About 600 loyal men gathered around David, a militia too small to challenge Israel's army, but large enough to provide an offensive force. Inside Saul's palace, Jonathan became a double agent. While Saul groomed Jonathan for kingship, Jonathan passed information to David. Jonathan recognized David would be Israel's next leader, but this prospect seemed increasingly unlikely as Saul's army approached David's battalion in the desert of En-Gedi. In danger, David did what he always did. He poured out his fears to God and prayed for help. Deliver me from my enemies, O God. Be my fortress against those who are attacking me. Deliver me from evildoers and save me from those who are after my blood. See how they lie in wait for me. Fierce men conspire against me. For no offense or sin of mine, Lord, I have done no wrong, yet they are ready to attack me. Arise to help me, look on my plight. You, Lord God Almighty, you who are the God of Israel, rouse yourself to punish all the nations. Show mercy to show no mercy, don't show mercy. Show no mercy to wicked traitors. You are my strength. I watch for you. You, God, are my fortress, my God on whom I can rely. But I will sing of your strength in the morning. I will sing of your love, for you are my fortress, my refuge in times of trouble. You are my strength. I sing praise to you. God, to you, God, are my fortress, my God on whom I can rely. No matter how close Saul got, David consistently outmaneuvered him. David was quite accustomed to commando type raids, but none was so daring as his encounter with Saul in the dark cave. Y'all were at 15 minutes. I better get done a little over. But hey, we're at the top of page 153, y'all. Day 33 on page 153. What? We're getting right in there. Hey, that's amazing. I thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for watching. I love y'all. I appreciate the fact that you guys take the time to listen to this. If you're here at this moment and the thing's all done, why don't you just give it one of them right there? Give it that like. Maybe go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed hearing some of this story, and you'll see all of them right there. Book from beginning to prayerfully the end, if the good Lord's willing, and if, I don't get called to heaven first. But I love y'all. I hope y'all have a blessed day. I hope it has already been amazing for you. Bye.